Welcome to our virtual Arm in Arm event. And I apologize, we really wanted to have cocktails and conversations at my home, but unfortunately COVID has derailed those plans. But I hope at some point in the future we'll be able to come together so we can thank you for all your philanthropic support during this very challenging time during the pandemic. So I am Deb Toppmeyer. I'm a board member on Arm in Arm, and I have been a board member for approximately 4 years. And I absolutely love my role as a board member because I believe so much in this organization, and that's why we're all here tonight. We'd like to take this opportunity tonight to introduce you to many of the key stakeholders, from clients to staff members. By the end of this event, I think you'll understand why I am so passionate about this organization. Thank you for being here. And I would like to introduce David Fox, our Executive Director of Arm in Arm, who has done an extraordinary job during the pandemic, really transitioning us to a completely different model serving our clients in need.
Thank you, Deb. You're going to get a great insight in what's going on in Arm in Arm right now. Tonight we're asking for your help. To be able to turn pandemic relief into long-term sustainable justice, we'd like to add 2 things. First of all, we'd like to add new software that will help us expedite the process to delivering food while also helping us capture information. Families who come to our doors could be scanned through a QR code so they could keep moving, and we would also be able to gather information to help them better. We can connect them to services that we provide and also connect them to other providers who can help them with their needs. We also would like to add a refrigerated van to our fleet. Right now, we have a limited amount of time and a limited distance that we can go to provide fresh food. You've heard that one of our initiatives is not just providing more food, but fresher food. If we acquire a refrigerated van, this will help us carry fresher food farther. We want to help more people in Mercer County with better food. It will also help us forge relationships with other faith communities, partners, community groups, where we could actually go have the van be there at their site. These 2 additions to Arm in Arm will dramatically help us serve people in need. We expect over the next 3 years this will equate to about 100,000 deliveries and will help about 15,000 families not only have more food, but fresher food. Also, we'll be able to capture a lot more information on these families so that we can determine their needs better. Thank you for considering this. We ask that as you listen to the impact of how our work continues to thrive, that you would consider helping us grow in these 2 dramatic ways. Sharik, tell me about what's happening in hunger now.
Our level of service, I would say, from the pre-pandemic, even now, still sustaining, has been skyrocketed. Pre-pandemic, average on the day that we used to serve was around 60 to 80 people. The average nowadays is, I would say, right now, honestly, 180 people is our average.
Like you're seeing some of the same faces coming back and back. What does that tell you, or what are you seeing, or what are you hearing from the people that come to us?
I think Arm in Arm really is a pillar in the community when it comes to the things that we help out with because of the way that we do them. I think we quickly adapted to the pandemic when it came to the food, and we were out there helping people.
So grab and go in the community, that's something we've pioneered a lot. Mobile delivery, right? What does that look like for us in a community?
So what a grab and go kind of off-site consists of is us partnering with the community, whether that it's a partnering agency, a residence, whether it be an old folks home, you name it. Honestly, if it's a demographic that we feel that we aren't necessarily serving to the capacity that we want to right now, that's who we target for the grab and goes off-site. And the way that will look is we pack up our things in the Arm in Arm truck, and we set up shop in whichever area that the agency or caseworker, whoever it may be, tells us is most convenient for people to get to us. And then we kind of just meet them, I like to say we meet them at their door,
If I said to you today, you can have a refrigerated van, what would you do with it?
I would have a grab and go a week at another site, honestly. I mean,
I love that.
that just sounds like, we have a fridge on the go. Like, why not use it that way? Store food in there, for somewhere that, they may need it the next day. We may even have, a group that might want to host their own grab and go.
So if we had, for instance, software that could track people's information when they came to the door, not that we want to limit them, but just so that we can learn more, right? Would that be a help?
I think it would be, I laugh when you say that because prior to everything changing, there was a, in-depth intake for people who came for food. And during those moments, like it was more interactive. You did get more of a story, from the community members about the situation. Yeah, they were coming there for food, but you might have gotten something else that they needed to do, with housing that they needed help with, or they might have needed a job, or some job searching. So those are things that, are able to happen when you have a system where you're able to intake, who's coming in to receive our services, where are they from, what other needs might they have, even contact information, just to let them know that these other programs and things that we have exist, to have a constant communication with them. It's really like kind of top tier, in terms of like really doing what you need to do to get the word out.
Let's talk about social justice. How does this all relate to social justice?
So I do think there's pockets where we might not even know, we're needed. What exactly are your needs? This is what we do. You've always known us to do that. But like you said, what exactly are your needs? And I think one way to kind of do that is by looking at, the racial backgrounds, looking at, where these people, come from, the neighborhoods, looking at, the household, the education in the area. And I think that all falls under some sort of social justice, because in some sort of way, people are getting, discriminated against. People are, cheated out of things simply because they don't know. And that's not fair. But if we can be, as arm in arm, another face to, I guess another face with a voice, right? To, speak more of, hey, this is what, the people really need, who, there's always statistics about food. There's always statistics about housing, but let's get down to, the households of these people, and really make them stable. And I think that, social justice definitely aligns with that.
Cynthia, what's an average household income in our work right now that you're seeing?
In our work right now, David, our average income is probably around $22,000 to $23,000 for a family of 3 or 4. The average family size that we see is about 3 or 4 people, but it's about $23,000, and that is, the majority of our households are single women with 1 to 2 children.
So when we talk about sustainability, helping people with sustainability, and then still being able to go to 70%, okay, of their total income to spend on housing, there are a lot of people that aren't meeting that threshold.
They're not meeting that threshold. I mean, the federal poverty level for a household of 2 is around $20,000. For our purposes, we look at 250% of the federal poverty level. I can honestly say 85 to 95% of our clients of a household of 2 does not meet, it's not there. They just aren't. They're not even close to being there.
Most of the people that are coming to us have a lot of back rent. Can you give us a little sense of what that looks like on an average basis?
On an average basis, it's approaching double-digit thousands.
And you've also talked about the way in which we've revolutionized our time that we meet with
Yes.
clients, right?
Yes.
So now you're at different hours.
Yes.
Right? Can you
Yes.
describe that? You have evening hours, you have weekend hours, and now people can know right in real time if they qualify or not qualify,
Yes,
right?
So we have, with the one thing that we learned from the pandemic and doing remote services is that we can help people with their managing their time. They don't have to take off from work, so they won't lose hours. They don't have to take their children out of school or even bring their children to a waiting room and wait. A phone call is very private, it's one-on-one. We are focused on that person, whereas when we were doing live interviews, I know when I used to do intakes, I was always concerned about getting through the waiting room. Like, I didn't want to keep people waiting so long. But this way, we can really focus on that individual, hear their story. It's confidential. And if they need an evening appointment or a Sunday afternoon appointment or early morning appointment, we can accommodate them accordingly based on what their needs are.
So how would this new product, this new software that allows people to fill out documentation virtually, how would that help you?
It would be a tremendous help, I think, because while we are waiting for documentation, we call people back, hi, Cynthia, you haven't sent over, we still need XYZ, and we do that manually. If we could send an automated text or automated call, it would allow my program coordinators to do other stuff, so it wouldn't tie up as much of their time. I'm so blessed to be working for an agency that has such a good staff, such a staff that is so compassionate and so caring. It's an honor and a privilege. And, if we have more, we can do more, and we can serve more people. And there's a real need in Mercer County. There are somewhere between 1,400 to 2,000 households that are going to be in unstable housing situations because they haven't been able to pay their back rent or pay their mortgages.
Have you got any stories of people who have made it?
Yeah, we, particularly through our housing stability case management program, we've had people who have come in and, really took advantage of all the resources that we have. And they were able to save money, while we were helping them with the rent subsidy and eventually, move off the program. And we haven't seen them. They haven't come back. So those are our success stories. We have a couple of people that came through and as renters and now are homeowners, and in part it's because of the skills that we were able to provide to them through our financial fitness workshop program. But they were able to buy homes. They became homeowners because of what we did with them when they were in the housing stability case management program. And we have a young lady right now that we're working with. Matter of fact, I just looked at some houses for her yesterday. She's ready to buy her first home for her and her kids.
Wow.
I'm always happy when we get people to that point. And everyone doesn't want to be a homeowner, and I understand that. But if they can get to a point where they are stably housed, they have managed to save some money, they have a savings account, and I don't hear from them again, I consider that a success story.
So you know this firsthand, right?
Yes.
So give me a little sense of how your personal experience might help inform the work that you do.
When I actually joined the Still Standing program because I reached out to Arm & Arm because I was behind in my rent myself, switched locations for a job. So just trying to get my feet on the ground. And I have 4 children, so single mom, trying to make it happen. And I fell behind on my rent and, other bills. So I was able to reach out to Arm & Arm for help and was able to get rental assistance and get caught up with my rent. And then actually being in the program, getting a hold of my finances. So just being there, talking, explaining my situation, and then you're joining other women who have similar situations you do. So it's like, I'm not alone in this. And the biggest thing really getting through all of this is to have someone there by your side that can relate.
What has the pandemic and the last year and a half, the incidences after and before, what are people going through? Anything different?
School is a big thing. I mean, especially now. Well, starting out going with the kids going remote, so you had to get used to your children being home. Some people had to go to work, so it's who's going to be home with my children. I have to go to work, and it doesn't even matter if you're in a single parent household or not. Parents have to go to work because bills have to be paid. A lot of people may not have suffered a loss work-wise, but have suffered a loss with things at home. So you're spending more, but you're not making any more.
Most of the women probably use text messaging.
Our phones they're like our hands.
Yeah.
So they don't go anywhere. They're with us all the time.
Give me a sense from your heart, okay? We've gone through a lot of stuff in the last year and a half, not just pandemic, but kind of this upheaval in our society. We're seeing that, not every group is treated the same way. And can you give me a little sense of what you're experiencing now, the communities that you serve or are part of, and maybe from your perspective, how Arm in Arm and other communities listening can be a help with longer-term social justice?
I think the biggest thing with anybody is understanding and not to be fearful, because people fear what they don't understand. At the end of the day, we're all human, and we all belong to someone. So just to, like for me personally, I have a son. I have 3 sons. So my fear for him is to make sure that he makes it home every night. A lot of people don't have to worry about that, but I do. And I think it's more so just being compassionate and understanding. And with Arm in Arm and other organizations, is you get to see so many people around you that are like you. And we're coming all different shapes, sizes, and colors, and we all have the need, and we're all in this together. And at the end of the day, that's what it is. We're all in this together. I was in the position a lot of our women were in. So to be able to give back is just awesome. I just wanted to help. That's it. Somebody helped me. I have a vision board at home, and on my vision board I wrote, "Be a blessing to others, as others have been blessings to me," and that's what I want to do throughout life. Just be positioned to be able to bless people.
Can you think of one or two, experiences or people that you think of have been most impacted, like inspiration stories from your experience with GoMo?
So we got a proclamation from the governor of Nebraska. He named a day after our program, maybe the only technology that ever had that happen. It's called Pelican Day, because we saved so many pregnant and postpartum women who were suffering from depression and issues from harming themselves and the baby. We discovered it through the GoMo interactions. We escalated it to the state nurse triage. They were able to intervene. So we actually have a day named after us, in Nebraska. So I could go on and on. We have plenty of those stories where, we're helping people every day of their life feel better and try to get through challenging times and developing and fostering resiliency mentally and physically.
Can you explain how it works? What do people get with GoMo at a hospital, for instance? What does this look like?
Basically, the whole idea is it's friction-free engagement delivered mostly through text messaging, so it's a little bit more ubiquitous, democratized, and accessible. So we go to people based on our science and algorithms, send them a message at a time, ask a question at a time, and then respond to them. So they feel like someone's listening to them, someone's helping them. It's their plan as well, because it's adjusting.
Can you speak a little bit about how GoMo might help with text messaging to be able to put real-time concerns out to our community?
So one of the ways that GoMo has been used in that regard is if you have all the volunteers in our database, right, and let's say a volunteer cancels at the last minute or you need someone, you could just go in, filter, hit the button and say, okay, please respond yes if you can make it at 12 o'clock. So you could do ad hoc messages. So GoMo supports both scheduled messages and in the moment ad hoc messages.
So one of the things we've talked about helping us with is being able to capture more information when people come to our doors in a quick way, right? That people typically had to log in, they had to wait in line, they had to kind of make sure they had their documentation on them to be able to get food. Now we'd like to, currently, where people are just coming through, not showing any documentation, taking food, right? And if they need food, we're here to help them. But what we're missing now is we're not capturing information about them, and so we can help them in deeper ways.
There's two things involved. There's the ability to capture information, but the real value of that is also communicating with people pre and post. So you can pre-register. You could communicate to them about healthy eating and ideas outside of that, right? Because the idea of the food pantry, it's a one-time thing that's helping them. But what can you help them with nutrition and food outside of that? Can you have a partnership and tell them, hey, we've arranged for you to go to this store and get something special, right? So that's what GoMo could do, so we can track the people. We can get feedback about where they're at in their life, whether it be housing, nutrition, those types of things. And we can help the staff at Arm & Arm focus on more high-impact relationships. And we're doing the perfunctory task of collecting the information in a simpler way, getting better data, following someone, furthering the communication, right? Because that's what this is really about, helping people in the end.
It's a holistic kind of healing, isn't it?
Yeah, so, and just to talk one more point on the housing side, I know you guys need a lot of documentation that's sometimes hard to collect. Right. GoMo has a whole system where they can just take a picture of it with their phone. It could be put into the system back to your enterprise database, those types of things. So it makes it easier to help people, and it makes it easier for the people served. So if Arm & Arm wants to cost effectively use the scarce dollars you have and scale the population, what GoMo does and now enables you to communicate to thousands of people every day, right, without staff. It escalates when staff could be helpful, so getting them involved in high-impact situations. And it also brings a little bit more joy in practice and less frustration from the staff at Arm & Arm, because you're getting to see the great value of your work. You're following people, you're getting feedback, you're getting the information, you're able to put them in housing, you're getting more people to show up for food that needs it. So that's really the value of GoMo.
So talk about Bob. You've known Bob for a while, right? This is not just somebody that you Googled and said, hey, let's go with this company.
Bob is fundamentally an incredibly dedicated, compassionate, dedicated individual who is really a behavioralist by training, and really leveraging that interest to really create a novel platform for changing behavior. And so that whole model that we have actually used at the Cancer Institute, called CINJ Concierge, allows us to actually integrate on a much higher level with the patient, communicate, and get additional feedback. So his particular platform would allow us to connect our clients to services that we don't necessarily provide. And there are so many steps that we can, that we can scaffold onto that basic concierge program that would also allow us to serve our clients better, not just from a vantage point of food insecurity, but also housing stability, workforce development. There are a lot of different tools, and really connecting clients with the right folks that are going to help them depending on what their needs are at the time.
We're also talking about getting a refrigerated van. Now, based on the board meetings you've been a part of and watching, very intimately all this stuff, how might that help us too?
So it builds on our strategic plan, really, to shift our model, which we're already doing from bricks and mortar to really a mobile delivery service. And we've already demonstrated, because of the pandemic, unfortunately, that this is feasible. It's not only feasible, it is actually preferable. And once again, our mission is to serve as many clients as we can that are in need. And between the philanthropic support of our donors and this new transition to a different model of food service, I think that in combination with the mobile van, with the technology to improve efficiencies, will really very much expand the circle of individuals that we serve. And that's really our mission.
One of the things that's happened during this pandemic is we don't just provide more food, we provide fresher food. And so we're augmenting the in-kind food with a lot of extra stuff, fresh produce, meat, dairy. Can you, from a physician standpoint, talk about the importance long-term of offering people this kind of better, healthier food?
So the ability to provide those kind of nutritious supplements to what we always gave, I think, is very, very important. You want, a well-rounded diet, and you really, everything is about reducing processed foods, free sugars and, white stuff. And that's very, very important. And the ability to provide fruits and vegetables that are expensive to our clients and really round out, their meal plan, so to speak, I think is critically important. In the long run, it's a win-win for everyone. I think it's very important that people understand every dollar makes a difference. How we can feed another family with every dollar. So, give $10, give $20, give $50. But give, and it goes a long way, and it is so appreciated. We have done exceptionally well this year thanks to all of the donors out there, but we pay very close attention to each and every dollar and are very strategic in terms of how we use those dollars to better serve the clients that we need to take care of. And I think when you work with an organization like this, and including the church and their budgets, we don't take any dollar for granted.
Deb Toppmeyer, Dr. Deb Toppmeyer, is helping us as a member of the board, now as co-chair. She would like to be able to help us raise the resources to provide a new software system and also, as I mentioned, a refrigerated van to be able to help us get to new areas. You've known Deb for a while, can you say a word or two about her and maybe this venture of hers?
Those who know Deb best know that she has a boundless energy. She has a boundless passion for what she does, and she's incredibly smart and incredibly gifted. That's why Arm in Arm is such a good match for her generous soul and for her nonprofit engagement and for her help to want to help others, because Arm in Arm has that same passion, that same constant energy, and that same relentless care for their clients as Deb does for patients. And so I think it's just such a great match for Deb Toppmeyer's passion. And all who know her to honor her and to celebrate her and to support Arm in Arm, it's a perfect match. And in our communities of Mercer County and beyond, you don't have to try very hard or look very hard to figure out and know how vulnerable people are right on the edge. And when life throws a curveball, the floor falls out. And we've seen it, and we know it now even more. And Arm in Arm is right at the edge of helping people to not hit the floor and not let that floor fall out for them. That's one. The second is that Arm in Arm has a 40-year track record of trust and transparency. So you're both transparent and you're also being evaluated and show you've risen to the occasion over and over and over again. And the last is if Deb Toppmeyer thinks this is a worthy investment, then Deb's friends and colleagues should think it's a worthy gift too.
Cecilia, are people struggling in Princeton, and why?
Yes, people is struggling in Princeton. We have low-income families that they cannot afford to pay rent. Rent is very expensive in Princeton, and at the same time, supply for food. Probably, just no receiving enough income to cover rent and food. It's hard for them. Princeton is known as a affluent area. In low-income families, they sometimes, yes, they live 3 families in an apartment, but also it requires for them to save money when they are thinking about food. Having arm in arm here, helping them to make ends meet, it's very important for them, and they relied on us. A lot of them lost their jobs. A lot of them, they cannot go back to work because they are single parents, and they need to make the decision between taking care of our kids at home or leaving them and going back to work. So it's a lot.
How does food relate to housing?
Some families, they have to choose between paying their rent and purchasing food. If you go to the supermarket, how much do you spend in 1 week? Personally, I know I have to have $100 minimum, and using coupons and everything, right? So that means it's $400. If my rent will be $1,200 and I need to have $400 for food, then I have to choose what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pay late rent, or I'm gonna pay that incomplete rent that it's gonna cost me to pay a late fee because I'm not paying the whole amount that is required by my landlord. Then I have to choose. What do I do? And that creates a problem, a crisis, the family. And each month, these families, they have to go through these decisions. What do I do?
So what about the undocumented community or people that are recent immigrants? Can you say anything about what they're going through? Is it any different? Is it the same? Anything you want to say about that community?
Well, the undocumented community, I guess, is the most vulnerable community because first, they do not feel that they deserve help. They come looking to survive. And it's sad because they do not know the language can be a barrier. The culture can be a barrier. Sometimes we do not know how to empathize because we see undocumented. Probably we don't know how to interact with them, but that causes fear to them. They know they do not deserve help. The difference here in Arm, we see everyone as a human being. We don't care if you have documents or not. We care that you are here, you trust us, and we have something for you, and we welcome you. If you're a human being and you are in need of something, come to Arm. We will help you.
The process for getting people rental assistance, utility assistance, it's kind of a lot, right? We have to require a lot of documentation, interviews, casework. We get a lot of people requests, we give a lot fewer people get assistance. If you could have help with that process, there'd be some virtual documentation. People wouldn't have to scan, send back, go from place to place. Someplace out there, would that be of help to you with that kind of technological help?
Absolutely. We sometimes take too long on helping a family to stabilize their housing situation because of the lack of the resources. If we are asking for them to sign a consent form, this family needs to go to one of the places where they have to pay to scan a document, to sign it, and send it to us. If we will have the right equipment for these people to go into a computer or to go to their smartphones and just make an electronic signature or something that we can do it, I'm sure these families will be really grateful with us.
Anything you'd like to say to people that would support us right now?
The great thing about Arm in Arm is that we treat everyone as a family. When they come here, they feel that welcoming spirit, and that's what makes them break the fear and come to us. So thank you for helping us and continue helping us. You're going to feel the satisfaction that you are helping a family who really needs.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for taking the time to be with us tonight and for listening to what's going on in the lives of people that we serve and also how we're trying to help them better. You've heard how we dream of doing more by adding a van and new software. To make this dream possible, we're hoping tonight to raise about $100,000. Already, we're extremely grateful to Dr. Deb Toppmeyer and to Bob Hilkert for making a lead gift, and also for the family of Richard Caton for contributing to this campaign already. Think about what you might be able to do in addition to what you already do. And I want to first of all say thank you for all that you've done already to sustain us and our operational needs day to day. We've been able to do more because already you have done more. But please consider an extraordinary capital gift that will help us transform more lives. To do so, you might think creatively what you can do over the next 2 years. And also, maybe a way you can make this concrete. Maybe you buy a wheel or two of the van, or maybe a part of the software over a given period of time. We can work with you creatively to find ways to make your gift have greatest impact. You can contact our Chief Development Officer, Maureen Hunt. You can visit our website. You can call me directly if you'd like to talk about anything that we've talked about tonight. In about a month's time, we hope to get together again. Deb has graciously offered to treat everyone who participates to a complimentary glass of wine, and that we would gather together in a virtual Zoom and celebrate reaching this goal and doing more for families in crisis. Thank you so much for supporting Arm in Arm, and thank you for considering this tonight. Take care.
Thank you for attending this virtual event tonight. I hope in the future we can do this in person. And I really hope that you learn something about the organization and why we need to continue to engage your support for these very important initiatives. And I welcome any feedback. If you have thoughts, if you want to reconnect with me or other members of the organization, we welcome your feedback. And I hope we can celebrate in a couple weeks over Zoom with a glass of wine that I am happy to provide to celebrate this organization and the clients that we serve. You have a good night.